Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. I'm your host S.M. Hali with another edition of Defense and Diplomacy. The region we live in, there's never a dull moment. There are a number of developments taking place. And the latest is the Non-Aligned Movement Summit Conference, which is taking place right now in Tehran. And if time permits, we would also like to discuss the second development which took place this week was the formulation of a committee to look into Dr. Aafia Siddiqui's case. But before I ramble on, I would like to introduce our very eminent guests today. We are honored to have in the studio Ambassador Khalid Mahmood, who is a renowned diplomat and is continuing with his analysis as well as inputs into diplomacy. How do you do, sir?
Thank you.
And we have with us Farrukh Pitafi, who is a renowned analyst, columnist, and also a TV show host. Welcome.
Thank you.
So for the sake of our younger viewers, if you could give us just a very brief introduction to the NAM.
See, NAM stands for Non-Aligned Movement. It emerged during the heydays of the Cold War in the 50s. Initial meeting, which you can say, which were precursors to the establishment of this movement, took place in Colombo and
Probably in the year 1961, sir?
No.
Even before
50s,
that?
yeah.
Okay.
In 55, the Bandung Conference.
Mm-hmm.
So the philosophical underpinnings of this movement, they were finalized, at that place. And it was and there, as you know, this 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. Panchila, they emerged from there, and they provided the main framework within which the non-aligned movement later on developed. But the first conference of the heads of state and governments of these non-aligned countries took place in 1961 in Yugoslavia, Belgrade, because the leadership role in the development of this movement was undertaken by Marshal Tito of Yugoslavia, Nehru of India, Sukarno of Indonesia.
The Cubans, of course.
No, not at that time, Cuba. Then Nkrumah of Ghana. So these were the 5, leaders. And their thinking was that the world is divided between 2 opposing blocs led by United States and the Soviet Union. And they are piling up armaments, and there's a lot of tension between these 2 blocs everywhere in the world, and there's likelihood there could be even war break out and between them, and given the arms which they have amassed, it would be very catastrophic for the whole world. So they said we countries which were newly emerging from the yoke of colonialism, they said we will be willingly or unwillingly caught up in this fight among these big powers, and we should not align ourselves or not even align against any of these 2 super blocs.
And remain neutral.
But this word is a little bit misconstrued, because neutral, there were other countries also neutral like Sweden, Austria, but that has a different meaning. Here what they meant was that we should not toe the line of either of these blocs and think of our own interests. And if those interests happen align with one group, then we should support that group, but we should take our own independent decision. But this was the philosophical, orientation of this movement. This is not an organization; it is a movement. Right. It doesn't have any structure, or secretariat, permanent, all these things. But in practice, many of these countries were inactually aligned. think of
right from Yugoslavia.
Yugoslavia,
Right.
Even India.
Even India with the Soviet bloc and
or Cuba, all these countries had orientation. But the overall thrust of this movement became anti-West, anti-US.
I see.
And
so if you hold that thought, Farrukh, the question that arises in the minds of most of our viewers is that this, as the ambassador very eloquently pointed out, that it was focused in the era of the Cold War. The Cold War is long gone, especially with the dissipation of USSR. So what is its focus now, and is it still a body which has any teeth?
Well, this is very interesting. Whether it had teeth in the past or not, that is a big question even today. But today, a lot of people have tried to or have been challenging its relevance. The important thing is that what are the major focus points of this organization or movement, as Ambassador calls it. One major is disarmament, counter-terrorism, economic reforms. All these things are relevant today also. Especially when you have a unipolar world, you have to realize that every country cannot stay aligned to that one center of power. So the basic principle still remains intact, and that is very important. The question is, what exactly are we going to expect from this this summit that is going to taking place even right now? Important thing is that you have to see that Iran today, which is hosting the event, is a highly sanctioned country. It is highly isolated. Then we have Syrian, civil war. Pakistan and India, leader of Pakistan and India will also be meeting on the sidelines.
The Palestine question.
The Palestine question has been there for quite some time.
No, but it is one of the major issues to be discussed in this.
It is, and it has been, but I don't know whether we are going to have some headway over there or not. The important thing at this moment, as I see it, is Syrian civil war, Pakistan-India peace talks. That is a major concern for us. And then, of course, Iran's isolation. Mahathir Mohamad of Indonesia actually said something very interesting. He said that the principles, Panchsheel principles that Ambassador was talking about, one of them is that every country will respect the other country's sovereignty and territorial integrity. A lot of countries are actually part of NAM who are sanctioning Iran, despite the fact that the UN has not sanctioned the country as yet. These are very important points. Perhaps some solution can be found out. But if you talk about Pakistan, Pakistan's focus...
I'll just get back to Pakistan's focus. I just wanted to ask the ambassador, sir, a very important event which is taking place because of this NAM is that Tehran, the host, and the former custodian of NAM, Egypt, were not enjoying diplomatic relations. In fact, they were not on speaking terms, especially since the Egyptians established relations with Israel, and also when Egypt gave space for the former Shah of Iran to be buried over there. But now we find that the Egyptian President Morsi has flown into Tehran, is handing over the custodianship. How do you look at it, sir?
See, as was pointed out, that NAM, the context in which it was started, it has completely changed. That Cold War has been replaced by unipolarity, and the focus of now NAM, it is not taking side, but how to resist the pressures from this single bloc, headed by the United States. This is one. And secondly, more focus now of the developing world, which are represented in NAM, is the economic problems, of development, to how to alleviate poverty. So this is the focus has shifted to this. Now, about this particular question you have asked about Egyptian president coming here, there are two angles to it. One is that Egypt was the outgoing president, chairman of this movement, so it has to hand over the chairmanship to the new incoming chairman, that is Iran. That is the technical side. But visit of President of Egypt to Iran since 1979, no president has visited, there have been no relation between the two countries, So the very fact that the Egyptian president will be visiting Iran for this purpose, though, that carries some significance, and it is so particularly significant that this is being done in the teeth of the opposition from United States, because United States has let it be known that the countries should avoid this summit.
In fact, the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon was pressurized by both Israel and the United States not to participate, but he is there.
Yeah.
He is very much there for the last 24 hours or so.
So that is also indicative of that. So now the visit of President Morsi reflects the change in Egypt, or in fact in the rest of the Arab world.
Exactly.
That from the rulers which were overtly pro-West, like Mubarak and Abedin in Tunis, they have been replaced by a new breed of leaders who are no longer tied to the aprons of West or United States. So this is one way of asserting their
independent
thinking.
Right.
And then remember, sir, that this is beauty of diplomacy and beauty of such bodies also, that a lot of countries that have been at loggerheads come together and they actually build peace. This is the example. India, Pakistan being another example.
In fact, you were talking about Pakistan. May I ask you,
Sir.
Pakistan is being represented by President Zardari and our Foreign Minister Hinara Bani Kar, and HRK made quite an impressive speech the other day. She highlighted that the Iranian problem must be resolved with dialogue and so on. But do you think there is a chance of the president meeting Dr. Manmohan Singh of
There's
India?
a big chance. There's of course a
And you
chance,
think
and
it
it has been tipped. There were early indication that this is going to take place. Secondly, remember there's another context as well. Next month, Indian Minister of External Affairs is coming to Pakistan. So we are already building peace, and we are working on that the peace that has also already, the process has already started. That having said that, I just wanted to point out a couple of other things as well. Pakistani diplomacy, unfortunately, has been a bit naive. We have never learned the art of making new friends without...
You said that in the presence of a very seasoned diplomat.
No, I know that, but I'm not talking about the present company exempted. But I wanted to say one thing, that Pakistan's Foreign Office, or Pakistan as a country, has not been able to go for a kind of diplomacy that is needed, and that is making new friends without annoying the old ones. This is very important. Pakistan isn't a superpower. Pakistan is emerging economy. Pakistan is a developing country. We have to remember that we have to take care of other concerns in the region as well. We have to take care of the US interest and our relation with the US as well. So somehow it is important for us right now to build bridges with other countries, but never become hostage to any country's rivalry with any other country.
Exactly.
This is very important.
Make new friends, but keep the old, the new are silver,
exactly,
the old are gold.
Exactly. Israel's concerns might be different. Pakistan has no diplomatic relations with Israel. But when it comes to the US, when it comes to the entire region, there are countries which are not comfortable with each other. We have to take care that we don't alienate any of them. And it is important that Pakistan's focus either should remain on disarmament, conflict resolution, all these issues, or then, of course, working on building bridges with other countries, including India.
Right, point taken. Ambassador, you have served as the head of Pakistan's mission in Tehran as well as in Riyadh, in Beijing, and you have served for many years at the United Nations also. So you are in a very good position to comment on this. How do you see this particular summit, and especially do you think Tehran will be able to come out of this isolation it has been pushed in?
I think whatever result of this summit might be, but I think the greatest gainer is Iran.
Iran, of course it is.
Because as is well known that unfortunately Iran is isolated due to the pressure tactics of the United States and the West. It is under the heaviest sanctions at the present moment. Ordinarily, one would not have expected that so many countries, and that too at the head of state and government level, would attend this summit, because the United States had let it known that it does not approve of such participation. But very fact that the countries have ignored US pressure and have congregated at Tehran, it reflects the success of Iran in defying American pressure. And
but what do you say of Iranian diplomacy, which so far has avoided controversy? Of course, there are reverberations that Iran, and as he mentioned about Iran's sovereignty being disturbed, but Iran so far has avoided any hard talk.
Yeah. So this is one part. But other is about...
Has it avoided hard talks? Sorry to cut you. Important thing is the venue of this summit is, adjacent to this venue are the remains of the three engineers who were killed.
Yes, but that's a very subtle way of doing it. They have kept the wreckage of the three cars in which they were shot, and also in the entrance there are photographs, highlighting.
What message are you giving actually? That not only Iran is a victim of the Western, terrorism, but West is actively working against us, and you have to come and stand with us. This is where the problem is. We have to understand, Iran is good diplomatically. It is a very strong country. It can take care of itself. The important thing is every country that has gone there has to take care of its own interests, not Iran's. And as long as that is remembered, I think everything is going to be okay. Avoiding controversy, Iran has not been able to avoid controversies. It is building up a narrative. But Pakistan can, of course, avoid as many controversies as possible.
And Pakistan, of course, sir, has a lot to gain, because Iran is not only our next door neighbor. Please remember, sir, that Iran was the first country which recognized Pakistan when we became independent. We have had a tremendous relationship. And for the future also, the Pakistan-Iran gas pipeline coming up and so many other things, we need to have the correct posture.
Yeah. You see, we have to go by principles. Now, one was the perception that Iran is an isolated country. That perception is being removed by this conference to a certain extent. The other is on the substantive part about the Iran's nuclear program and the stance of the United States and various other countries, particularly among the Arab world, that how they view it.
So you mentioned the nuclear issue. Ban Ki-moon, in his very first address in Tehran, he mentioned two problems. One, the nuclear issue, and the second he mentioned was the alleged Iranian human rights issue.
So all these, I think, now issues will be in the forefront of the discussions there. But you will see that the final declaration which will come out will be, in my view, supportive of the Iranian positions, because Iranian position is based on certain principles. For example, about the nuclear program, because Iran says that as party to the non-proliferation treaty, they have right to the peaceful uses of atomic energy, and their program is peaceful. Of course, there's a counter narrative saying no, the program is not peaceful. But IAEA, although it has given some reports which could be interpreted as implicating Iran, but it has not categorically determined that Iran's program is weapon oriented. So on principles, Iran is right that we have the right to peaceful exploitation of atomic energy. Now, secondly, against non-interference. Now, this is one of the main plank of non-aligned, that the countries should not interfere in the other countries' affairs. And thirdly, that there should be no coercion. Now, sanctions is a coercive measures which have been taken against Iran. So on these things, you will see that the if the movement is faithful to its original principles, it will come out with declaration which will be supporting Iran on this principal positions.
Well, to be honest, I don't see it taking that kind of a stride. Earlier, Ambassador Saab himself said something that was interesting. He said that, of course, even though it was called NAM, it was not hard and fast non-aligned movement. There were countries which were aligned. Important thing is you have to remember.
Pakistan had a very difficult time becoming a member because we were opposed, having been perceived as an aligned country.
Of course, CETO and CENTO and everything. But important thing is at this moment, Ambassador Saab, and you were hinting at actually the human rights abuses in Iran, and then the fact that a narrative has been built against the nuclear ambition of Iran itself. Important thing is this narrative was started by the Iranian opposition, not by the US. They gave presentations to the Americans and their intelligence community, and after that everything was planned.
Okay.
Important thing is that you have to remember that even today when we speak, there are major human rights issues in Iran, and because of that there is a constituency which might be trying to implicate the country. And I don't really see that NAM will be actually standing steadfastly with Iran on these matters. I think a major important issue is of the disarmament in the year 2025. They will be focusing more on that.
Talking about human rights issues, Ambassador, if you recall, in my opening, I said that if time permits, we'll talk about Dr. Aafia Siddiqui, and this is perceived to be a human rights issue. Dr. Aafia Siddiqui, a highly qualified student who happened to have leanings towards Islam, ends up on the wrong side of the law, and of course her plight is very well known, how she ended up in Bagram, and then she has been tried and sentenced to 86 years and is now being incarcerated in Caswell, Texas. But the Prime Minister of Pakistan only the other day, after the visit of Ramsey Clark, the former US Attorney General, has appointed a 4-member committee headed by Hina Rabbani Kar, and its members are the Ministers for Interior, the Minister for Human Rights, and the Minister for Law. How do you see this development, sir?
See, this is indeed a very tragic case, and it defies comprehension that how a frail lady has been convicted of attacking American armed soldiers and also sentenced for attempt to murder them. But whatever may be the case, but the fact is that she has been now sentenced, and the sentence is about 86 years, such harsh sentence. So there is a hue and cry, that perhaps she has not received a very fair treatment and trial. So we cannot comment on this, but this is the perception which persists, particularly in Pakistan.
This committee will help?
People have been urging the government to take some proactive action to get Aafia repatriated to
But the government,
Pakistan.
it says that it spent something like $2 billion.
Yes, about the legal aid for the fees of the lawyers during trial. $2 million government of Pakistan.
If you permit, let me ask Farrukh. There is a perception. I mean, initially when Raymond Davis was arrested, that there may be a swap over. It didn't happen. Now there is a perception that maybe there is an effort to swap Aafia with Dr. Shakil Afridi. How do you look at that?
Well, first of all, I must say that the government's this forming of this committee is quite commendable. The government has been proactive. Ambassador Saab might disagree, but I think it has been very proactive on this case. Important thing is that there are a lot of question marks on the entire story, and they have not been cleared. Who she was, whether she is a Pakistani citizen or not, whether she was really that innocent, that has not been cleared thus far. It is important that such a body will also be able to clear all these things, because there are so many blanks in it, in the story, that have to be cleared. Again, now human rights.
I'm coming
Shakil
to the
Afridi,
end of the program. You need to wind it up.
I just wanted to say one thing. There can't be two standards of human rights. Important thing is we should be fighting for Aafia Siddiqui and she should be brought back. But any Rimsha in Pakistan should also be treated as such because she is also a daughter of Pakistan. And Shakil Afridi, again, that is a big question mark. We don't know what exactly did he do. Till the time we don't know it, whether he aided or abetted the US or whether he aided or abetted any terrorist groups in Pakistan, how can we offer such a person to any other foreign country? The important thing is that we have to bring all the loose ends together and we have to tie them.
So viewers, with that we come to the end of this program, and both our participants are of the opinion that non-aligned movement may be out of context as far as the Cold War is concerned, but the basic principles on which it was formed, they continue, and a movement like this is pertinent, especially because it has 120 members, which is just next to the United Nations. Therefore, it is a force to reckon with. The important thing is that it has to stick to its original principles. Only then it will make its voice heard. And as far as Dr. Aafia Siddiqui is concerned, it has been brought out that yes, there are loose ends, they need to be looked into, and Dr. Aafia Siddiqui's case must be looked at with sympathy, and if she is innocent, she must be absolved of the charges and brought back home so that she can live the rest of her life in peace. With that, we end this program, but before that, I would like to thank you, Ambassador, for your very cogent comments, and Farrukh Pitafi for your very kind comments. Viewers, keep watching us and hope to see you next week, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.